Hey guys, welcome to this video. This is a game I played earlier today and I want to go through it because for a few reasons, but just before I mention those, just quickly, my name, I haven't displayed my name and my opponent's name for this game, but I'm just in the process of changing it to the same as my YouTube, so it'll be Chess Underdog, and hopefully that'll be for next video. It'll be that. I might even have to make a new account, I'm not sure. If I do, yeah, that should all be fine. But okay, so back to this game. I chose it because I think it's very instructional, very interesting, very enjoyable. One of the stronger games I've played. There were a lot of quite good moves. There were some errors as well, but there's quite a bit to learn from them. And yeah, I jumped over the 1700 bracket with this. So I'm now 1718 rated, which is over a 200 rating increase in about 4 or 5 weeks. So that's good. My opponent was a bit over 1800 rating when we played this game. Yeah, it was very enjoyable. So let's get straight into it. 1e4, c5 Sicilian, my favorite line. I strongly recommend it. So check out the video on my channel about it if you haven't. Knight f3, knight c6, so pretty standard so far. And then he played c4, which, obviously the expected move here is d4, but, I just thought I'm not particularly threatened by this move. I'm just going to continue on just development. Played e6. Yeah, I want to keep this somewhat concise, but I mean, yeah, e6. I played the of course other moves, but I quite enjoy this. I like to stick to moves that sort of similar moves a lot of the time, and e6 is in a lot of positions a good move. He played knight c3, and I played bishop e7, or I could have played these sort of ideas first, but I was sort of just a decent move. I played d3, and I just continued on with development here. I don't think he can really advance the pawn because I can play knight g4 and then I'm double attacking it. Yeah, I don't think that's a real possibility. He played h3 here. Now that's a possibility because I can't move to knight g4. So I just continued along with castling, and yeah, he played that anyway. So I just dropped back, which was the space I freed from castling. Now, just quickly, my thoughts at this point of view, from this position. I was very happy with this position. The computer gives it as minus 0.6, so I'm 0.6 of a pawn up, which is definitely what you want to achieve as black. That's a good achievement at this point. But he's made a lot of pawn moves. He's got sort of a very committed center, and I've got a lot of potential with my center. I can make a lot of different moves. I can wait. I can see what my opponent does. But really, my goal here is just to develop. There are no real threats at this point. Yeah, so that's what I do. He develops his bishop e2, and I play f6. Yeah, I like the move f6 because firstly, I keep my central pawns and I keep the potential behind them, so I don't commit to d6 yet. I can play d6 later, or I can play d5, and I'll go into it in the next short while. I'll explain why. But yeah, and this opens up my rook, and yeah, obviously I needed to get rid of this pawn to continue on with development, to get my knight out, and yeah, so he played bishop f4, which is actually a tactical blunder. If you're sort of into tactics and things, maybe just pause the video for a second, but otherwise because I want to keep this concise, I'll go into what I played. I spotted this blunder, so I played f takes, and then yeah, if you look from this point of view how you spot these things, I mean, if he takes with the knight, then the bishop's hanging, so he can't do that. And if he takes with the bishop, which is what he did, I can just simply take the knight, which is what I did, and yeah, what does he do here? The bishop's hanging, so he takes my rook, and I take his bishop for a big advantage. So I've got two minor pieces for my rook, which is a trade I'm always very happy to make. And already, if you have a look at the picture here as well, I kind of feel as if white's I wouldn't be enjoying this game if I was white. Whereas for black, you're very kind of I don't know if agile is the word, but you got a lot of potential moves that you can play, and you can sort of wait for your opponent, and you can if this was an over-the-board game, for example, you'd just get a cup of coffee and just really relax and enjoy it. So, yeah, white developed his queen, and I developed my knight. I developed my knight to d6 quickly, not to f6, and that was just because from f6, where am I going? A lot of these squares are guarded by white pawns. So from d6, there was the f5 square. So let me get rid of some of these lines, sorry. So from d6, there's the f5 square, and then the d4 square, which look nice. And even just f5 on its own could be a good square. It's got a lot of, it would be controlling quite a lot of important squares, and also, potentially blocking diagonals, etc. So, yeah, it just seemed logical, logical, simple sort of chess. He played his rook to g1. So this is something I'm worried about. Obviously, it looks like it's going to long castle and stack rooks up, etc. So I'm keeping that in mind, and I just simply played knight g6. That's for a couple reasons. Firstly, the knight on e5 is unprotected, so maybe in some variations that could be a liability. Unprotected pieces. It's kind of like a loose piece, but here now it looks like my pieces are in good harmony. And as well, the f4 square might be a nice square later on for the knight. So he long castled, and I played b6. b6, it's not a disaster move, but it's not a particularly good move. My intention was just simply to develop the bishop, which is on its own a good thing to do, but much better would have been to play knight f5. So instead of b6, to play knight f5, and that's just for the sole reason to prevent d4 being played. So when I played instead b6, white can play d4, and after sort of takes, he's opening the d file and putting a lot of pressure on my d2 pawn. So yeah, quite simply here, that's an important thing, and a lot of theorists sort of talk about that as blockading. That's just an important blockading square, because really the only thing white can do in this situation, and this is why it should be obvious, or this is how you spot these things. So the only freeing move, or what they call a pawn lever, is d4. Nothing else. What else does he have here? That's not really a move. There's no other candidate improvement. So I should have spotted. Well, yeah. I mean, it does have logic behind it, that f5 move, but I did play instead b3. But I do think this is a very instructive point of the game. So just remember that blockading square and preventing. Look for these pawn levers, and yeah, that would have prevented it. So after b3, white moved the king out of the way. This potentially troubled diagonal, but again there he should have played d4. So I developed my bishop, another d4 opportunity. So that was white's fault. But I mean, even if he did play d4, it's not much in it. It's maybe a half a pawn difference or something. But white's already down minus 4.2 at this point, so it's already a significant problem. He put his knight into what's quite a nice square. I obviously wasn't going to take this knight and open up that d file, so I moved my knight out of the way, getting ready to put it finally into this blockading square and into a good spot. And here he played f4. Why did he play f4? Well, to free up the bishop for some squares, but also, what do you play here as white? You're extremely passive. You're kind of waiting for black to either win the game or make a mistake. So it's up to me to win this game, but what else do you play? I mean, what are some other candidate moves? I guess this move is, the best of not much else. I played here queen c7, so developing my queen and attacking this now weakness. And if you look, this is, this file's open for me. So, and Nimzovich would be proud of this, just blockading the weakness and building up pressure on this weakness. So the queen move, it's good to move your queen with a purpose and not just move it for no reason. So it's being attacked twice, defended once. He had to defend it, the only move, rook to g4. And I played my final developing move. Everything's in play now, rook f8, and I'm putting potentially lots of pressure onto this f4 pawn. Now he doubled his rooks on the G file as anticipated. It looks scary and sometimes feels more scary than it is, especially, you've got to be careful when you're under time constraints. Just by the way, at this point I'm down to 6 minutes 45 seconds. I'm not a particularly fast player. This is a 15-minute game and he's still up at 11 minutes 15 seconds, but I would rather be me than him in this game nevertheless. So I moved finally knight to d4, and again Nimzovich talks about this, when you unblock, I've blockaded the weakness, and now when I develop this knight to, which is what is actually a fantastic square on d4, and an uncontested square as well, how can he get rid of that? He can't really. I do that with a lot of, with style, so that's that f4 pawn now is looks like it's going to drop. So he plays bishop d1. Again, what can white play here? He's sort of just trying to hold on, but there's nothing really to hold on to. This is, that was even the computer suggested move, so nothing really wrong with that. And I took with the rook. Just a quick note, of course, I can't take with the knight because of g2. So, sorry, g7. But took with the rook, and he played f3 again. No, lack of a better move. What does the computer suggest here? Rook takes f4. Similar sort of outcome. He played this. I think also part of this reason of f3 was maybe to develop some sort of pawn attack on the king side. When I took the rook, which I also was happy to simplify, by the way. So I'm happy to exchange because I would love to enter this winning endgame. But he took with the pawn, and I think these were sort of his ideas potentially. But here there was a nice move. I wonder if you can spot it. It's quite a logical, quite important move to make. Do see if you can spot it. But otherwise, I'm going to play it now. It is queen f4. So improving my queen, centralizing my pieces, and attacking this weakness on f5. Sorry, on f3. And I'm offering the queen trade as well, so I'm getting a tempo on the queen. It's really almost like a triple purpose move. If he takes the queen, he can't really take the queen because I just have an excellent knight there. Pawns will be hanging all over the place, and also I would love to get into this endgame, as I said. So if he trades queens, it's just achieving what I want. He moves the queen out of the way to g2, and here I think another nice move was knight h4, which attacks this weakness 3 times, and it also gives me a tempo on the queen, so I'm eliminating pretty much his any ideas of counterplay. Maybe he's wanting to advance the g pawn or something, but I'm eliminating that and sort of forcing the game. Sorry about that, I'll turn that on silent. Queen f2, so preparing this pin, which I was aware of. And just by the way, I'm down to 4 minutes here and he's down to 6 minutes. I take the pawn, and I did spend quite a bit of time on this thinking, but so I'm down to 3.5 minutes. But preparing this pin, so that was hanging that pawn, but now he puts some pressure on my. He is sort of really attacking this knight. And what do I do here? So again, you should be able to spot this move. I finally took this knight on e4. So so I took this knight on e4 and used this e4 square as an escape square for my queen with check. So after he took
check,
I played queen takes e4 check. And just by the way, I'll just back up slightly. Here, I mean, these pieces are all pretty good. If I move the queen out of the way, I'm losing my knight. There's got to be, I was considering these sort of ideas, but at the moment that's not working because of the knight just taking. But it's got to be one of these bishops in this case. It's got to be the kind of a pawn. It's not a pawn move. There's no real pawn move that'll save my knight. It's got to be a bishop move. So you should be looking for that, and you should in this position feel confident that you're ahead. And take your time and sort of think there must be a good move here type thing, because it's just principle that you should be something good here. because your pieces are in decent positions and fairly centralized, and yeah, nothing really too wrong. So yeah, after bishop takes e4,
Check.
queen takes e4, check, I'm out of the pin, and he plays yeah, king a1. Now white, yeah, so over here I played knight to g5, protecting the mate square. So I'm holding on here. I'm a little bit nervous at this point because I've only got 2 minutes on the clock left, and he's got 3 minutes. But I did need to protect from that mate threat, and also, get my piece out of there. That was otherwise gone. And this is where it got quite turbulent and quite interesting. So he was mate threat over there. So I used this. Finally comes in only in this sort of very late, or well, still I suppose you'd call it middle game, but late middle game and 28 moves in, that my flexible center started shining. And there was I'm not saying, often the way I play is take the center when you can. So earlier on, often I'm playing d5, but there's sort of a trade-off between taking the center and also determining what you achieve with that. Sometimes you want to keep it flexible and keep your options open. So anyway, d6 was a nice move. He threatened the same thing again, so that would be mate because of this stuff. So he's threatening mate again. Offer the queen trade and prevent the mate threat. He doesn't want to get into this endgame again. He moves back, threatens mate again, and I play knight e4, centralizing my knight, getting it into play. And I mean, these pieces look great to me. And also, of course, I'm protecting it, and I'm blocking the long diagonal. Now he threatens to take my piece, quite simply. Simple sort of stuff, especially with a minute. I've got 40 seconds left on the clock. He's got a minute 30, and I protected with. So before I played d6, now I'm playing d5. So this flexible center is really showing its value. Yeah, queen h2. Nice move here. Try to spot it if you can. I'll quickly, feel free to pause. But centralizing, getting my bishop into play. It's of course protected and gaining a tempo. He moves the queen out of the way. I didn't want these sort of ideas, so I offered the queen trade. Again, I was really protecting my back rank here, preventing him from getting them. He didn't accept it. Trying to get to the back rank again, especially with 30 seconds left. I didn't want this to happen. Offered the trade again, and he retreated back. Offered it one more time, and then he got out of there. Now, to this, I centralized my my final piece. And if we look at this picture, I mean, you can't almost possibly get a nicer looking picture than that. That's just like Nimzovich talks about, and a lot of other theorists talk about, just passing your piece or having your pieces in there. They've just got so much potential that they can all of a sudden unlock from being there. You almost have to trust those principles and believe in them, because there just should be something. And even though I had only 18 seconds left here, I knew there should be something. So he played threatening my queen with rook f1, and there was a really good, quite a good move here. Again, try spot it if you want. A nice move, but I'll play it in a couple seconds. So, alright, pause it if you want, but
check.
Yeah, knight c2 check. To hold on, I mean, at this point, white's really down. It's something like minus 20 here. But to hold on, and especially maybe have some chances, given that I have 16 seconds left, if you played king b1, might have been the play. But I'm basically offering this knight on pre. He takes the knight, so just taking the material. And I'm down to 16 seconds here. It's down to 35. And here there's a mate in 2, so you should be able to spot that quite
check.
Simply. Bishop takes b2, king has to move,
checkmate,
and then knight d2 checkmate. So yeah, I think quite an instructive game, very interesting game of just how to play sort of patient and simple chess. There were a couple variations in there I didn't want to go into. Some slightly better continuations, so yeah, don't get too picky on that. But overall, it was just about maintaining an advantage, playing principled chess, and of course, it was a milestone game because of the because of breaking the 1700 bracket. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and looking forward to next time. Oh yeah, and also just lastly, in future videos I should have my name changed to my YouTube name, so yeah, expect that for next time. Thanks very much.